Hey BleepinJeepers, it's Tyler. This week we're working on Project Overlander, and we're going to be doing a 1-ton steering upgrade. So this is the axle I pulled last week for Project Tetanus. You'll notice the tie rod here, how bent it is. The same rock that did this probably is the one that destroyed the lower control arm mount as well. And unfortunately, this is not an uncommon occurrence with the factory steering. It's just tiny. It's tiny and it's not very strong. Here's another tie rod, bent like a banana. They're just weak. Now before I get too excited and start yanking out my factory steering, I want to take a couple of measurements so that I can get my wheels basically pretty close to aligned when I put the new steering back in. So what I want to do is I want to measure the distance from rim to rim in the front. That's going to be 53.5 inches. I'll write that down. And now I'm going to take it in the back at 180 degrees on that rim. And the front should be narrower than the back. Back here we've got 53 3/4. So that's about where it should be. So I'll write both those numbers down. And once I get the new steering installed, then we're going to adjust it to get as close to those measurements as we can. So you'll see me here taking off the front tires. That's to give me access to those knuckles. You're going to have to do that in order to get in there with the reamer and make those holes large enough to accept the 1-ton tie rod ends. While I'm doing that, you may be asking yourself, why would I put 1-ton steering on a Jeep that will probably never see bigger than 32-inch tires? But one of the overriding themes you're going to see throughout Project Overlander is anything I can do to increase the reliability and the durability of this vehicle, I'm going to do. I plan on taking my family into very remote places out in the desert where there's not cell service, there's not water, miles from pavement, and I need to be able to depend on this vehicle to get me and my kids home. So that's why I've gone with this JCR 1-ton steering upgrade. It's going to be one more link in the chain of reliability and durability that's going to give me some peace of mind and make sure that I can get the kiddos home. So really, to remove this steering, all we've got to do is we've got to pull the two tie rod ends, pull the steering stabilizer, and drop it from the Pitman arm, and the old steering should come right out. Now JCR says that they've had really good luck running this steering system without a steering stabilizer, so I'm going to go ahead and pull the steering stabilizer because there is not a provision to attach it to the new steering. Now they do sell a clamp and mount system to put a steering stabilizer on it if you find that you absolutely have to have one. I'm going to go ahead and try it without. Next we're going to pull the drag link at the Pitman arm. I'm going to go ahead and remove the cotter pin from the castle nut. This castle nut's 3/4 inch. One of our viewers had a great idea. Maverick, I don't know if it's Maverick ZO or Maverick XEO, but he said, you know, loosen up this castle nut, but leave it on with a little bit of a space. Then put your ball joint puller over, and this way, when it pops that joint loose, we don't dump the we don't dump the whole drag link down onto the ground and damage anything. pretty good idea. Just like that. And see, now when ready, we can go ahead and lower that. Smart idea, Maverick. Let's do the same thing with both knuckles. This ball joint puller, by the way, I think I bought that at either AutoZone or Checker for like 16 bucks. Really is worth it. So when you're upgrading to 1-ton steering, it makes sense that your tie rod ends are going to be quite a bit larger, quite a bit beefier. You can see this comparison, how the 1-ton tie rod ends, these ball joints just dwarf the stock Cherokee ones. So this is not going to fit in a hole that size. So the one thing that you do need to get to be able to complete this conversion is a reamer. Now, I found this one online on eBay. It was right around the cheapest ones I could find were right around 80 bucks. This one I got from a company called X-Cut. It's made in the US. That's the part number. But it's a 1/2 inch and 1 foot taper. I think it's also the same as a 7-degree taper. And this is what it looks like. So this is going to allow me to remount the knuckle and the Pitman arm so that it will accept this larger sized ball joint and tie rod end. So you do need to get you one of these. Now, because this tool is so expensive, I saw some as much as 150 bucks. It might be a good idea to get together with some of your friends and all of you do this conversion at the same time. Then you can split the cost of the tool and just share it between you. Alright, you're going to see me start reaming the front knuckles here. If I had paid attention better to the instructions on JCR's website, they tell you to drill out these holes first with a 5/8 inch drill bit. Now on these knuckles, these cast knuckles are soft enough that I was able to chew through them with that reamer pretty good. But when it came to the Pitman arm, it's much harder steel. And in fact, it ended up ruining my $80 reamer. So I was able to get the hole as big as I needed it to, but I destroyed a very expensive tool. So I think maybe I'm a very expensive tool. Anyways, don't be stupid like I was. Drill these out first with a drill bit. Alright guys, so I blew it. You may have noticed yesterday when I was reaming this hole and test fitting the tie rod end, I did not have this Delrin Spacer. Now JCR Offroad includes this spacer because what it does when you tighten this up, it prevents this tie rod end from rotating in the socket, which these are prone to do. This is their fix, and that's great. The only problem is I reamed the hole to fit that tie rod end without the spacer. With the spacer, you can see how loose that is. That's not going to work. I can't have my steering loose like that. So essentially what that means is I've ruined this knuckle. Now lucky for me, I have another axle squirreled away that has, as near as I can tell, this same style of knuckle. It's off a 92 YJ. So I've pulled that knuckle off of that axle. I'm going to go ahead and ream it and be very, very careful that I include this spacer in my test fit. And hopefully I can get this off and just replace it. Well guys, man, has this been just a can of worms. I pulled the knuckle off and this ball joint was bad, so I ended up replacing both the ball joints. And then when I went to put this new knuckle on, I realized it wasn't drilled and tapped for ABS, so I had to machine there's a little platform in here that's in the casting, but you have to machine it flat, drill 2 holes in it, tap the 1 hole. so that this little ABS sensor can screw onto it and your ABS will work. So I've been pretty much monkeying with this all day. It's 10:30 at night. I am gonna go home and go to bed. Maybe, just maybe, tomorrow we can actually put the steering on. My steering kit came pre-assembled with all of the rod ends, the tie rod ends and everything already screwed into the tubes. The tubes come bare metal. I want to go ahead and paint them before I put it in so that I don't get any rust problems. It'll be easier to paint them now. So I've threaded the rod ends out far enough that I can wrap a couple widths of masking tape around them. And rather than take the rod ends all the way out, I'll just mask them. And I'm going to paint just the bare metal tubes. The tie rod ends themselves already have a pretty good finish on them. So I'm going to go ahead and do that.
What are those, Dad?
These are going to be what helps me steer the Jeep. It's called a tie rod and a drag link. It's a funny name, huh?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I've kind of got in the way of your filming. That's an accident.
Alright, so after yesterday's comedy of errors and hours of monkey business, I think I've actually got the front axle to where I can now put the JCR steering system in. Now this is an under the knuckle, not an over the knuckle. So it's going to go underneath, not up above. Shouldn't interfere with my pumpkin or my other steering components, let's hope. So let's go ahead and get this thing at least temporarily set up here. Now I've spun the tie rod ends all the way in to their maximum on both sides because I want them to both start basically from the same 0 point, and then we're going to adjust the width from there and attempt to match our original dimensions of I think it was something like 53 3/4 in the front and 57 in the back. That's why I wrote it down, because I don't remember. But right now, let's just get this mocked up, and then we'll worry about adjusting it later. Now it's time for drag link. Now you'll notice with the drag link, one of the tie rod ends is a big long one. One of them is a little short one. We want the big long one to be down here on the axle side, and this little short one to be up on the Pitman arm. Just check for interference. And we clear everything by a little over 1/8 of an inch there. And we clear everything by about almost 1/4 of an inch there. Full rack to full rack. So we've got no interference problems. Now I am running, for now, a factory diff cover. If I upgrade to a big thick, one of these 3/8 inch thick armored diff covers, I may end up with some interference, but full rack to full rack I've got about 3/4 of an inch. So I'm confident that I'm going to be fine. And we'll cross that bridge when we get there if that ever becomes an issue. So I've got everything bolted up. I haven't adjusted yet, but before I put the tires on and adjust my alignment, I want to go ahead and put the cotter pins in and lock these castle nuts in place. This is your steering. Don't forget to put these in. If this comes loose, your steering comes apart, I'm sure you can imagine what would happen. JCR includes these with the kit. They also include 4 Zerks fittings so that you can grease each one of these tie rod ends. I would not thread these in until you've got it all the way put together, because if you accidentally drop the Pitman arm or the drag link or something, you'll snap that Zerk fitting right off. So wait until you're completely installed and go ahead and just put these in the bottoms of the tie rod ends. And then give them a good healthy squirt of grease. I am not going to bend this cotter pin over because I have a suspicion, since the ball joint was bad on that side, that the ball joint's probably bad on this side. I'm going to have to pull this hub. So I'm going to go ahead and not use this cotter pin right now, but I will install it once I get that ball joint replaced. So the last step now is to realign your wheels. I've got my measurements right here, 53.5 in the front, 53 3/4 in the back, and these are right and left-handed threads, so all you do is twist this. The cool thing about this JCR kit is that the tie rod ends thread right into this tubing. It's a 1/4 inch wall tubing, so you don't have any threaded collars to screw around with. I'm sure we've got a long ways to go, but we're gonna we're at 53, so we're getting close. Alright, now let me check the back and see how close we are on that. We should be 53 3/4. Oh, that's pretty close. Let's see. Okay, so now we tighten down these lock nuts. And remember, this one over here is going to be a backwards thread, a left-handed thread. Alright, now we want to adjust the length of our drag link here so that our steering wheel is centered. And here's a good opportunity to correct for your lift so that your steering wheel isn't cockeyed like this. So I'm going to go up in the vehicle and make sure that my steering wheel is straight.
I was running the table, really putting on the show. I shot out the 8-ball, I choked and I missed. Some punk took my money, I was triple jack pissed.
Alright, now we grease it up. We'll go get a professional alignment job when we're done with the build, but this should at least get me to where I'm safe to drive. So, one last thing. Oh yeah. Sweet. Well guys, that's it for installing the JCR Offroad under the knuckle 1-ton steering upgrade. Man, am I happy with how it's turned out. That's beautiful. As always, like, share, and subscribe. That helps us to keep the videos coming. Go check out BleepinJeep.com for all the best off-road how-to videos on the internet. Go pay a visit to JCR Offroad. Brian and the crew out there make amazing products. They've got rock sliders, bumpers, armor, roof racks, steering upgrades, and even some DIY parts. So go check them out. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys next time. I'll rate that, handy corn. Boom!